Tim. Our position, as I say, is clear. We are very much the party that is about making a more competitive environment for Tasmanian businesses to grow, to prosper, to invest and to innovate. We believe that is the fundamental way to give Tasmanians an opportunity to achieve their own potential. We also believe education of our young people is essential, and indeed in later years. But we need to give business the confidence to grow, to invest, get out of their way, let them get on with the business of what they do, creating jobs, creating opportunities for Tasmania, and let's reduce the impediments to further growth. Let's reform our planning system. Let's reduce the cost of doing business in this state. Let's provide the freest labour market so that Tasmanian businesses have confidence that the people they're getting are well skilled, they're going to be properly remunerated, and they're most productive. They are the essential elements of lifting our productivity rate in this state and making the Tasmanian economy more sustainable on the longer term.
All right, now 60 seconds on that from Nick McKim.
Thank you, Tim. I know Will would agree with me when I refer to the Engineers Australia Tasmanian Infrastructure Report Card of 2005, which had Tasmania rated equal worst, and the Planning Institute of Australia, a similar report card last year, had Tasmania equal last in terms of the capacity of our infrastructure. But what I don't hear from either of these two gentlemen is exactly what they are going to do to invest in long-term strategic infrastructure. And I say again, the end of abundantly available cheap oil is coming at us, and it's coming at us like a steam train. And that's not a bad segue, because what we're going to find is that carbon-intensive transport methods will become more expensive and less competitive over time. So I want to see long-term infrastructure plans that invest in things like rail so that we can maintain the productivity that ultimately will drive economic sustainability and good social outcomes for this state.
David Bartlett.
Well, I'd ask you all to pull out your iPhones and Google the State Infrastructure Plan, because Nick McKim can't find it, Will Hodgman can't find it, but I can assure you it does exist. What we have committed to is developing for the first time, in conjunction, I might add, with the TCCI and other industry bodies, a 10-year infrastructure plan to take infrastructure out of the political cycle and put it into the long-term cycle. We are investing long-term in water infrastructure to create a Tasmania-wide water economy. We are investing long-term in optic fibre to create a transformative infrastructure for Tasmanian business. We are investing long-term in low emissions, intelligent transport systems such as liquid natural gas and so on. And we are investing long-term, for example, in the Tamar Valley Power Station and in renewable energies like Muscle Row, like hot rocks, like wind and water.
Stop you there. Will Hodgman, if you'd like to rebut that.
You're going to hear a lot of this, ladies and gentlemen. Give us another 10 years to get our infrastructure sorted out in Tasmania. If you think there's a plan, have a look outside, see how well our rail networks are operating. Look at the dysfunction in terms of a strategic plan for our port facilities. Look at the state of some of our roads, including our major arterial route, the Midland Highway. They've had 10 years to get an infrastructure plan locked in and delivering results, and now they're asking for another 10. They want another 7 years to fix our education system. They want another 5 to build the Royal Hobart Hospital to a standard that will deliver better outcomes. It's a common theme this government's had long enough and has failed to deliver. In terms of education reforms, skills development in this state, and one of those productive drivers that has been neglected. This government has produced 7 plans to address the skills crisis in Tasmania since it's been in government. And the latest, launched last year by David Bartlett, he proclaimed to be the state's first skills strategy. Millions and millions of dollars, plan after plan. The Tasmania's skill set remains underdeveloped, and our potential remains
Will. Put the Greens position on productivity, Nick McKim.
Thank you, Tim. Well, David's working on a 10-year infrastructure plan. I rest my case in relation to my assertion that we're not looking long enough forward. These are global challenges, century-long challenges, and real leadership is not about electoral cycles. It's not about 10-year plans. It's about 50 and 100-year plans, because the decisions we make today will influence how Tasmania performs in productivity, how well we look after our people on a whole range of benchmarks, not just for 10 or 20 years, but 50 and 100 years into the future. Now let's talk about productivity. let's talk about innovation. The Australian Innovation Research Centre has found that innovation is mostly driven by large companies because small businesses, and I'll run one myself, we're too busy just running as hard as we can just to keep up. That's why Tasmania's taxation system is a disincentive to innovate and a disincentive to productivity. I'm out of time now, but I'll come back to it.
All right, David Bartlett.
Well, I'm very happy to lead off on innovation, and the government, of course, has a clear innovation strategy, and it is key, together with education, to unlocking productivity. I've also spoken about new infrastructures, and the last area I want to speak about when it comes to unlocking productivity gains is, of course, macroeconomic reform. Each of my opponents, one or the other of them, have opposed every macroeconomic reform policy that we have brought forward over the last 10 years. Planning reforms, at least one of them opposed. Water and sewerage reforms, at least one of them opposed. Energy reforms through Basslink, wind energy, gas on island, at least one of them opposed. Shop trading hours changes, at least one of them opposed. Broadband competition, at least one of them opposed. The facts of the matter are we are investing in the macroeconomic reforms that will also, together with education and innovation, drive productivity.
There, Premier. Let's hear from one of those, Will Hodgman.
We're very much, as I say, committed to developing an environment by which our businesses can grow, our people can grow and upskill, and we can become a more productive state. We are, contrary to what Nick says, also a party that's keen to encourage innovation and to expand our potential and our opportunities. We have announced a policy that is all about providing incentives to private companies to install renewable energy facilities on their properties in the same sort of way that Robert Rockefeller is talking about. Good on him for doing it. We've said in government we will initiate a plan and a strategy that provides incentive to private companies around the state to tap into our renewable energy potential and our capacity, which not only will deliver great environmental benefits, but will also be a great way of running a business and contributing to a greater competitive tension in our energy sector. We are supportive of broadband in this state. We are supportive of getting our transport routes up and running more effectively.
Stop you there, Will. Thank you very much. And a final rebuttal on this topic from Nick McKim.
Thank you, Tim. Look, I'd urge you to take with a grain of salt some of the assertions that David made in his contribution. If anyone's got the iPods out, you can Google the Greens position on all of those matters, and I don't think that it would reflect the assertions that David's made. But I do want to talk about innovation. I do want to talk about innovation because innovation ultimately will underpin productivity along with reforms in our education system and along with a strategic long-term focus on infrastructure development. Make no mistake, the world is heading to a zero emissions economy. Jurisdictions that are early adapters will be market leaders. Jurisdictions that come to grips with the massive challenges of climate change, but also with the significant opportunities that are available to early adapters will be the winners. And I will come back to what I wanted to say about innovation because the clock has been.
60 seconds isn't long, is it? I know this a bit from my work. Now, we're halfway through the topics that have been set down, and the final two topics both relate to budget, and first of all to budget health and fiscal policy. Good budget management should be guided by a set of principles. These should cover debt and taxation levels when it is appropriate to run a surplus or deficit, and how much funding should be allocated to recurrent expenditure as opposed to capital investment. A healthy budget is a precondition of a healthy economy. This is confirmed by the TCCI's research, which shows a 95.8% correlation between the health of the state budget and business confidence. With around $1 billion stripped from expected revenues over the next few years, what confidence can the three of you give Tasmanians that you will manage the budget in a responsible manner and particularly avoid expensive promises during the upcoming election campaign, because it hasn't started yet? So, the position on that, first of all, from the Premier, David Bartlett.